Welcome to my lab. Today we'll be testing out the Blender Hologram Zapper 3000, which can turn any 3D object into a hologram. We can use procedural textures in Blender to make anything a hologram. For this tutorial, we'll be using the Horizon desktop editor and Blender, so beginner knowledge is helpful, but I'll show you how it all works. By following the steps in this tutorial, you'll collect 10 energy bolts, which is all you need to zap your own object into a hologram. First off, what are textures? A texture is basically an image that's wrapped around a 3D object to control how it looks. Often artists will texture paint by hand, but we'll be using procedural textures. You can think of these as recipes that are powered by logic. So instead of brushes, it's like you're tuning sliders and connecting nodes together. And it's really flexible and scalable because you can set up a pipeline for a specific style and then use that same style on any object. I also think it's a fun way to create. First, I'm going to download a model that I AI generated in Horizon Worlds. So click on the asset and then in the panel, find the source download button and click that to save the FBX file somewhere easy to find. I created one folder for this heart asset to keep track of the different files that we'll be using. Now let's switch over to Blender. We're going to delete the default cube and then click on File, Import, FBX, and then choose your model and bring it in. And if it's rotated oddly like this one, you can just click on it, press R, then type X, 90, hit Enter. That rotates it upright. And here's our object, ready for action. With our object still selected, we're going to head to the Shading tab. Delete any default image textures or normal maps. We don't need these. You just click on these two nodes, delete them. And first we'll add a new node for a wave texture. So press Shift-A, type in wave texture, and this provides our stripes. We add a color ramp node to give us cleaner stripes and connect it to our wave texture by attaching the color output to the FAC input. Finally, connect the color ramp output into the alpha channel of your shader. Suddenly your object has these transparent scan lines cutting through it. It's a pretty simple setup for a cool looking effect. This is where it gets fun. So we're going to change the wave texture direction. So you can see here, it says X, we want to change that to Y, and now we get horizontal lines, which to me looks a little more like a sci-fi hologram. And you can click and drag on the scale to change the scale of the waves. So small values, you get those wide waves, and large values like this, they get a lot smaller. I am keeping mine around 7, somewhere in the middle. You can also just type. And then distortion, this makes all of the lines wiggly and gives it a really glitchy sci-fi look, so that one's super fun to play with. The color ramp affects where the transparency cutoff happens, so I'm going to move the black slider way up here and the white slider down so that we have really sharp, crisp stripes and there's this really small transition with more transparent space where the black is. So I think this is cool looking. I like it. I'm going to leave the color as white because I want to be able to test out different colors in the Horizon editor with the tint tool, but you could change that here on the principled BSDF. Now add a new node called image texture. Now you're going to name this whatever word you want followed by _BA. Just remember the word. So mine's called heart _BA. Keep alpha checked so we can export transparency, and then press new image. Now click on this little camera to open the rendering menu. We're going to switch to the Cycles render engine and then scroll down till you see the bake section. We're going to set the bake type to diffuse and uncheck direct and indirect. We just want to keep this texture simple with basic transparency or white color. Select your object if it's not selected already and then hit bake. You can watch the progress increasing at the bottom, and then once it's done, you'll see your rendered texture in the image viewer on the left-hand side. We're going to save this out by clicking this hamburger menu at the top, and then going to Image, and then Save As. You should still have your name autofilled, and make sure that you still have the RGBA PNG. With our image texture exported, we now need to re-export our model with a new material name. Click on the Layout button, and then click on your object and look at the Material tab. We're going to want to rename our material to heart_blend. The _blend suffix tells Horizon that this material has transparency. Now we need to re-export our model. First, click your object. Click File, Export, FBX, and make sure that you check Selected Objects Only. Name this file whatever you want, and then press Export FBX. Back in Horizon, add a 3D model asset. Click Add New, and then select 3D Model. Import both your PNG that should end in _BA and the FBX file that we just exported. It might take a minute to load. If you have any errors, make sure that you followed all of the naming conventions for both your PNG and your FBX material perfectly. Then drop your asset into your scene. Let's see what this looks like at nighttime. Go to the Build menu and add an environment gizmo. Then inside the gizmo, set it to midnight black so that your scene's really dark. Although other materials get darker, the hologram stays the same color. Since we made the hologram white, we can pick a tint in order to change the color of it. Nice! Fully powered up your Blender Hologram Zapper 3000. Great job. Want to take this a step further? You could also place a static light in the middle of your hologram so it casts the same color light on the objects around it. You could even make an entire world out of just holograms. You can use the same process to experiment with other types of textures using the node editor. See what else you can zap into your world.